Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're going deep on Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, very cool.
Like way beyond Iron Man. The mission is to uncover the breadth of his career and the sometimes turbulent life that shaped him.
Yeah, it's really a fashionable story. It's one of those classic Hollywood tales.
Yeah.
You know, sky-high success and then some pretty public struggles.
Yeah. Okay, first things first.
Okay.
Did you know that this guy started acting when he was 5 years old?
Wow.
5?
That's incredible.
I could barely tie my shoes at age 5.
Right.
What's that even like, growing up on a movie set, basically?
Well, both of his parents were in the film industry.
Okay.
So imagine that kind of childhood. Yeah. Almost like a family business.
Yeah.
But the business is making movies.
Right.
You're surrounded by that creativity and the energy of that world.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's easy to see how that could be both a good and a bad thing.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, on the one hand, you're exposed to art and acting from the very beginning.
Totally.
But then on the other hand, you're also exposed to kind of the darker side of Hollywood.
Yep.
The article mentions his dad's drug use.
Right.
Which unfortunately ended up having a big impact on Robert Downey Jr.'s life, too.
For sure. But before we get to that, I think it's worth pointing out like the early signs of his talent.
Okay.
The article mentions he spent his summers at Stage Door Manor.
Oh, yeah.
This famous acting camp.
Uh-huh.
So picture this place.
Yeah.
The future stars like Natalie Portman.
Wow.
Robert De Niro honed their skills there.
Really?
Not a bad place to spend your summer if you're a budding actor.
It's like the Harvard of acting camp.
Yeah.
So he clearly had talent from the beginning. But then there's this interesting tidbit about his time on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yeah.
In the mid-'80s, Rolling Stone actually ranked him as one of the worst cast members ever.
Really? Yeah. That raises a question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Was it just bad timing?
Yeah.
Or a clash of comedic styles?
Right.
You know, what made him a worst cast member?
Right.
How do we reconcile that with the brilliance we know today?
I mean, it's not like he let that label define him at all. He went on to have such a successful career. It's almost like that experience taught him something valuable about failure.
He's actually talked about that.
Has he?
Yeah, he sees failure not as an end, but as a chance to learn, to reassess, and to come back stronger.
That's a pretty inspiring outlook, especially considering what he went through later in life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of coming back stronger, let's talk about that whole Brat Pack era.
Okay.
He started some classic 80s films, like Weird Science. But do you think he actually fits into that category?
I'm not so sure. The article doesn't really say whether he embraces that label or not.
Okay.
And honestly, for those of us who weren't around in the 80s, can you even explain what the Brat Pack is?
Yeah, think of it as like a group of young actors who dominated the teen movie scene in the 1980s.
Okay.
They often played these rebellious, charismatic characters dealing with coming-of-age themes.
Gotcha.
So you've got Molly Ringwald, Emilio Estez, Judd Nelson, just to name a few.
Okay, so Robert Downey Jr. was definitely in those types of movies.
Right.
But maybe he didn't totally identify with the group?
Right.
I guess we have to dig a little deeper to figure that out.
Right, and this is where we start to see his personal life.
Okay.
Mirroring his on-screen roles.
Oh.
In a pretty eerie way.
Okay.
The article mentions Less Than Zero.
Yeah.
A movie where he plays a drug-addicted rich kid.
Right.
That film was a turning point for him.
Okay.
Critically acclaimed, but also foreshadowing his own struggles.
It's like his life started imitating art.
Yeah.
And this is where things get a bit heavy.
Yeah.
The article doesn't shy away from the fact that Robert Downey Jr. battled some serious addiction issues.
It's a crucial part of his story.
Yeah.
And instead of just listing dates and events, I think we should focus on some specific anecdotes.
Okay.
That highlight just how bad things got.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there's that story about Mel Gibson stepping in.
Oh, yeah.
Not only as a friend, but putting his money where his mouth was and paying Robert Downey Jr.'s insurance bond for the singing detective.
That's incredible.
That's a real testament to their friendship and Mel Gibson's belief in him.
Yeah.
I mean, back then, Robert Downey Jr. was considered a huge insurance risk.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
It shows how close he came to being completely written off by Hollywood.
It really does.
But thankfully, people like Mel Gibson saw his potential and fought for him.
It's a good reminder that everyone needs support, especially during tough times.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It really is amazing how he managed to turn things around. It makes you wonder, like, Were there any other calls?
Oh, yeah.
During that time?
There were quite a few, actually.
Oh, wow.
For instance, in the late 90s, he missed some court-ordered drug tests.
Oh, no.
And that resulted in jail time.
Wow.
Which is obviously a huge setback.
You've got to imagine that kind of things would completely derail someone's career.
It certainly did for a while.
Yeah.
He was actually fired from the TV show Ally McBeal around that time.
Really?
And think about this.
Yeah.
He was winning awards for that role.
Wow.
A Golden Globe, even.
That's a major blow.
Yeah.
It shows how quickly things can change in Hollywood.
Exactly. And the consequences didn't stop there.
Really?
Woody Allen wanted to cast him in a film.
Okay.
But couldn't get insurance.
Because of his past.
Because of RDJ's reputation.
That must have been so frustrating.
Yeah.
It really highlights the stigma surrounding addiction.
Yeah.
And how difficult it can be to break free from that perception.
It's a testament to his strength and determination that he managed to overcome all those obstacles.
Yeah.
I mean, to go from being considered uninsurable to becoming one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood.
It's incredible.
It's an incredible turnaround.
Speaking of turning things around,
the
article mentions this quote where he talks about how his time in prison kind of changed his perspective.
Yeah.
Particularly his political views.
Yeah, he said something like, you can't go from a $2,000 a night suite to a penitentiary.
Wow.
And come out a liberal.
That's a pretty strong statement.
It is.
But he later clarified that he doesn't strictly identify as a Republican or Democrat.
Right. He seems more focused on specific issues. Rather than aligning himself with a particular party.
That's interesting. It makes you wonder, what issues kind of resonate most with him.
Right.
Especially considering his own experiences with the legal system.
Well, he's a strong advocate for criminal justice reform.
That makes sense.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Considering his personal history.
Absolutely. He's clearly passionate about using his platform to bring attention to that issue.
And it's not just limited to serious topics.
Oh, really?
Remember that whole controversial skin pigmentation procedure?
Oh, yeah, for Tropic Thunder?
Yes.
That was a bold move.
It was a bold move.
Yeah, it seems like he kind of walks this fine line between pushing boundaries and potentially offending people.
It was definitely risky. But he was playing an actor who takes method acting to an extreme, which is a satirical commentary on Hollywood itself.
So it's more about making a statement about the industry than being insensitive.
Exactly. And it worked.
Did it?
The film was well received, even by many African Americans.
That's fascinating how he manages to navigate those potentially sensitive areas.
Yeah.
It speaks to his intelligence and his ability to use humor to address complex issues.
Right. He's not afraid to take risks.
Yeah.
And that's something we see throughout his career.
Right.
Whether it's disappearing into a character like Kirk Lazarus in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Or mastering new skills like playing the violin left-handed for Chaplin.
He's always pushing himself creatively, which is inspiring.
It is.
And let's not forget his musical talents.
Oh, right.
He even released an album, The Futurist.
Right. And while it might not have been a chart topper, it shows he's not afraid to explore different artistic avenues.
Yeah.
Plus, he has contributed to several soundtracks and even sang backup for Gladys Knight on American Idol.
Wait, seriously? He was on American Idol?
Alongside Ben Stiller and Jack Black. They were the Pips for a performance of Midnight Train to George.
Oh my God, you gotta love those unexpected little facts that you just come across.
Right.
It adds to the whole Robert Downey Jr. mystique.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion.
Yeah.
Every time you think you've got him figured out, you discover something new.
And speaking of discovering new things, let's talk about some of his ventures beyond acting.
Okay.
I'm really intrigued by Team Downey.
Yeah.
The production company, he started with his wife, Susan.
Right.
It's not just about being in front of the camera anymore. It's about shaping the stories that get told.
It's a sign of his evolving role in the industry.
Yeah.
He's not content with just being a performer.
Right.
He wants to be a creator as well.
Their first film was The Judge.
Yes.
Which, while not a blockbuster hit,
okay,
was well received by critics.
And it's another example of his commitment to working with his wife, Susan.
Yeah, it seems like a true partnership.
It does.
They're often seen together.
Yeah.
And he frequently credits her as a stabilizing force in his life.
Their relationship appears to extend far beyond
the
professional realm.
It's great to see them building something together, something meaningful beyond the glitz and glamour of Hollywood.
Absolutely. And that leads us to his newest venture.
Okay.
Footprint Coalition.
Okay.
where his passion for environmentalism takes center stage.
He's always been vocal about his concerns for the planet.
He has.
But this is taking it to a whole new level.
Footprint Coalition is all about using technology
to
tackle environmental issues, such as reducing carbon footprints and promoting sustainability.
I mean, he's putting his money where his mouth is.
He is.
Yeah, he even announced that he's going vegan.
Wow.
That's a pretty big lifestyle change.
It shows that he's willing to make personal sacrifices for the sake of the planet.
Right.
And it aligns with a growing movement of people adopting plant-based lifestyles to reduce their environmental impact.
It's inspiring to see someone with his platform using it to advocate for such an important cause.
It's a reminder that we all have a role to play.
Yeah.
No matter how small, in creating a more sustainable future.
For sure. And his star power might inspire others to do the same.
Right.
So we've covered his films, his music, his activism, his production company.
Yep.
What else is there to explore about Robert Downey Jr.?
There's one more thing that's integral to his story. And that's his sobriety.
Yeah.
It's been over 20 years now.
Wow.
And he's incredibly open about his journey. Discussing both the challenges and the strategies where he's used to stay on track.
I've read that he attributes his recovery to a combination of factors.
Right?
Including his wife's support therapy, meditation, and even martial arts.
It highlights that recovery is an ongoing process. And often requires a multifaceted approach.
His story is incredibly encouraging for anyone struggling with addiction. It's a reminder that no matter how far down you've fallen, it's possible to rebuild your life.
He's living proof that redemption and second chances are real.
Yeah, it's a powerful testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome adversity. And speaking of overcoming challenges, it's remarkable how he's managed to reinvent himself time and time again.
Right.
It's easy to get stuck in a box, especially in Hollywood, but he's constantly pushing boundaries and exploring new territory.
You're absolutely right. When you think about his filmography, it's really diverse. We tend to associate him with these larger-than-life characters like Iron Man and Sherlock Holmes. But he's done so much more than that.
It's true. It's easy to forget that he was once this critically acclaimed indie darling.
Yeah.
He even earned an Oscar nomination for playing Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, wow.
That's a far cry from the action hero roles that he's known for today.
And let's not forget his forays into darker, more complex roles.
Right.
Like in Less Than Zero or A Scanner Darkly.
Yeah.
He's never been afraid to explore the shadows, both on screen and in his own life.
That willingness to embrace vulnerability is what makes him so compelling to watch.
Right.
He brings a depth and authenticity to his performances. It's hard to find. He's not just playing a character, he's inhabiting them.
Right.
Bringing his own lived experience to the role.
You can really feel that in his performances.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, how does he choose his roles?
That's a great question.
What draws him to certain characters or stories?
It's like he has this innate ability to tap into the human condition.
Right.
To portray characters that are both flawed and relatable.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to show his characters' weaknesses.
Yeah.
Which makes them all the more real.
And speaking of real.
Yeah.
We haven't touched much on his personal life.
Right.
Beyond his relationship with Susan.
Okay.
The article mentions he describes himself as a Jewish Buddhist.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. What does that even mean?
It's not a label you hear every day.
It's hard to say for sure.
Right.
As he hasn't publicly elaborated on his beliefs.
Yeah.
However, considering his background, it suggests a blend of cultural heritage and personal exploration.
It makes sense he was exposed to various religious and spiritual influences.
Right.
Growing up from Christianity to the Hare Krishna movement.
It seems like he's taken bits and pieces from different traditions and forged his own unique path.
Which is kind of fitting for him, don't you think?
Yeah.
He's always been someone who defies labels and carves his own way.
Absolutely, and that's what makes him so intriguing.
Yeah.
He's a constant work in progress.
Right.
Evolving both as an artist and a human being.
So what does it all mean? What are the key takeaways
Right.
from our Robert Downey Jr. deep dive?
It seems like his life and career are full of contradictions.
Yeah.
Yet it all somehow comes together to create this captivating and inspiring story.
It's a reminder that people are complex and multifaceted. We can't be reduced to simple labels or categories.
Right.
We all have our own unique stories to tell with our own struggles and triumphs.
And sometimes the most unexpected journeys lead to the most remarkable transformations.
Absolutely.
It's never too late to change, to grow, to make amends.
He's living proof that redemption is possible.
Yeah.
That second chances can lead to extraordinary things. He's shown us that we can overcome our demons and come out stronger on the other side.
And that even superheroes have their own battles to fight.
But ultimately, it's how we face those battles.
Yeah.
The choices we make that define who we truly are.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the life and career of Robert Downey Jr.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has.
Full of twists, turns, and unexpected revelations.
He's an actor, a musician, an advocate, an environmentalist, and above all, a survivor.
A complex and enigmatic figure who continues to captivate and inspire audiences worldwide.
And who knows what he'll do next? That's the beauty of it all.
Right.
He keeps us guessing, keeps us entertained, and keeps us thinking.
And that's a pretty incredible legacy to have.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, listeners.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.